So in this video, I just want to go over all the rules we've talked about so far, which is basically all the rules you're going to need except for a chain rule. And we'll talk about chain rule later. But yeah, you should be able to label these. So this is your power rule. This is your sum rule. Your multiply by a constant. Derivative of a constant. Your product rule. And your quotient rule. So if you don't have these memorized, you should go ahead and memorize them. They're going to keep coming up. But I wanted to look at a couple of special cases that are, some weird things can happen. So in power rule, we've always talked about n's that are positive, but the n could be negative too. And so let's just remember that anytime you've got like 1 over 5, you can also write that as x to the negative 5, right? And what happens in this case is, let's say we want to find the derivative of 1 over 5. Well, like we just said, that's the same as derivative of x to the minus 5. Okay, and then in this case, we're going to need to apply the power rule, but n is equal to minus 5. So just blindly follow, don't be freaked out that it's negative, just blindly follow the rule and say it's minus 5 is n times x to the n minus 1. So it's minus 5 minus 1. So it's minus 5 x to the minus 6th. And some people like to convert it back to the original form. So you'd say minus 5 x to the minus 6 just means divided by x to the 6th. There you go. So that's your solution. Okay. So some other things you might want to look out for is that some books will start using different variables. So don't get confused because, once again, it's the same kind of thing. So I could easily write this problem up here. Whoops, sorry. I could write the same problem up here as d over du, derivative of 1 over u to the 5th. So it looks different, but really you still follow the same rules that are up here. Just now, instead of x equals u. So you can go ahead and just rewrite this problem as d over dx, 1 over x to the 5th. And then you solve it the same way that we did above. But now at the end, you got to make sure you convert it back to u. So again, don't be tricked by that stuff. We can also see things like you can mix and match. So far I've always given you like either exponential or trig, but not a combination of both. But you could get like a product rule problem that is the derivative of x to the 5th times cosine of x. Okay? And if you were to get this, you follow the same thing where you say f equal x to the 5th, f prime equals 5x to the 4th, g equals cosine of x, and g prime equal minus sine of x, right? And so this just comes from the trig rule video that we went over with the different rules. Now we apply the product rule, and at that point, what we'll see is we'll plug in, so we get 5x to the 4th, that's this first term. Second term is just g of x, so cosine of x plus f, which is x to the 5th, times g prime of x. So that's minus sine of x. Okay, simplify it, and we get negative 5x x to the 5th times sine of x. I'm just flipping them so don't get confused. Okay, boom, there's your answer. So don't get tricked by some of these things that you might see as you get more advanced problems. Just keep in mind these are all the rules you have to know, so they should somehow fit into these rules, except for chain rule. So in the next video, we'll start to go over what happens when you have a function inside of a function, right? So cosine of x squared, we don't know how to solve that yet. The way you do it is something called chain rule. We'll discuss next time. Thanks.